you through how to create a profitable authority blog. So this is our lesson number 1, which is the introduction and getting started. Before we jump right in with the rest of the course, I just quickly want to talk about mindset, because I want to make sure that you're in the right mindset before we get started. We're a big believer that if you're in the right mindset, you'll be able to implement everything at a faster and more accurate pace. What we found over the years is that too many blog owners fail because they focus on the misconception or the belief that if you have the right tools or you have the software tools or the WordPress platform, then you'll succeed. But the reality is that really it's not about the blogging platform, it's not about the software tools, or even not about having a WordPress blog. But it is about figuring out what your strategy is. Whether your niche that you pick is going to be profitable or not, that's really what it's all about. So, the secret is to start with a niche that you are truly an authority in. So this course is all about helping you find your niche and make sure that you're, in fact, the authority. So, as I mentioned just now, a lot of sessions in this course will be about strategy and planning, as getting it right is our mission. And once you do that, then you can move on to setting up your blog. Only after that you can think about the software tools and all that. Alright, so with that said, let's move on to our next lesson, which is about picking a niche. Welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about how you can find a profitable niche that you are an authority around. And, as we're thinking about that, I want to ask you a question. What is your interest? What are you passionate in? And I want you to keep that question in mind. And the reason being is because I want to address an issue, and the issue is that many people tend to choose niches based on profitability, and that's the wrong way. Here's what you should look for. You should look for something that you're interested in, because if you look at the profitability or the money first, you will fail eventually, because you will eventually run into a roadblock, and you will get overwhelmed, and it'll be boring, and you'll have no interest in it to continue. And another thing is, you won't look like you really know what you're talking about. So start with your passion, and the great thing about that is that people will trust you. They will begin to see that you're passionate about. For example, have you ever been to maybe a blog or a webinar, and you have noticed that the speaker's not passionate about it? They just feel like they have to be there. And that doesn't make you trust them if they are not really passionate about their topic. You can tell that they don't really know what they're talking about, but they're just trying to get by. That probably turns you off, right? Well, the same goes here. You don't want to portray that in any way. What I'm trying to get here is that you want to portray yourself as the expert, and to do that, you need to be passionate about the niche you pick. So here's my recommendation to you, and I want you to take this exercise serious. So step 1. Just pull out a pen and paper. Pause the video if you want to, and just sit down and begin to jot down all of your hobbies and things that you like and you're interested to invest money into. Maybe it's something of your family's passion. Maybe it's some kind of a pain on the contrary. Think all the pains that you've been through or your loved ones have been through and jot those down as well. Because let's be honest, if it's a pain, you probably have done enough research about it to know the advantages and disadvantages of certain niche. You've got solutions. So let's say, for example, you've had a kidney stone. Let's say you've cured yourself without needing surgery. Then somebody else out there is probably going to want to learn from you how you did it, right? So, you have some sort of experience in it. You felt the pain, you felt the suffering, you've been through it and done that, so you can relate to the people that are going through the same pain. So basically, think of things that you're passionate to talk about. And if you want to pause this video, just go ahead and do that. That's fine. After you've done that step, I want you to pick and choose the 1 or 2 that you're extremely passionate about. Hello, and welcome back. Today, we're going to figure out if you're really passionate about the niche in the long term, because you might be okay right now, but we really want to know if it's going to last for a decade or more. So, in the previous lesson, you created many different topics, and then you chose one. Now, The fact that you are passionate about this topic means that you're more likely to succeed in the long term. But we want to make sure that it is the case. So, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get a timer and try to jot down at least 10 to 15 different and very specific topics around this one topic within half an hour. So, time yourself. Let's see how fast you can get to 10 to 15 topics in your passion area. You can create a specific topic around this niche. So say, for example, let's take the example of kidney stones, where we can think about what kidney stones there can be, specific dieting for people with kidney stones. For example, certain foods create kidney stones, and certain supplements can actually help pass the stone without surgery. Can you create 10 or more topics on this area? What you're trying to do here is we're trying to figure out how many topics you can create. So, go ahead, do that exercise now. Pause the video till you get 10 to 15 topics, or even 20 would be awesome. But if you get at least 10 within less than half an hour, then that's a good sign. That means that in your brain, you're able to produce topics right away and that you're actually passionate about this niche now. But how about if you're stuck? Let's say you tried it and you weren't able to think of anything. If you're stuck, then that means that you need to move on to the next niche. So look back on the list of pains and hobbies, pick another one and go through the cycle again until you find one that works. Now, here's a final test. Let's say you found something that you are able to write 10 topics about. Let's say this is something that you would feel comfortable writing day in and day out. But is it something that you're willing to get educated about and increase your knowledge? Perhaps read books about it from other experts, talk to other people about it. Maybe surround yourself with people who enjoy this topic, and would you be happy with all of that? If you said yes to all these questions, then this might be a good topic of choice. When it comes to being authority, you always want to be one step or one level ahead of your audience. What do I mean by that? I mean, if your audience are newbies, you want to make sure that you are at least in the intermediate level. Or if your audience are intermediates, then you need to make sure that you are an expert in that niche, and the reason being is because you need to be several steps ahead to ensure that you answer their questions. In other words, you need to make sure that you gain their trust by providing value, and that way they understand that you have been through what they are going through right now. But if you're going through the same as they are going through right now, they might see you as the same level as them. They don't really see you as the authority. They see you as maybe somebody who's a friend or somebody who understands what they're going through, but not yet has encountered the future. Do you know what I mean? But as an authority, you've actually encountered the future, and therefore, you can give them advice and tips to help them. So, people want to know essentially if you are ahead of them, because basically, the reality is, if you do not know what you're talking about, people can see it right through you. Then, they won't trust you, and at the end, they will not buy from you, because at the end of the day, people buy from people that they like and trust. So trust is a bigger major factor here. So that's really what this whole formula is all about. Think, how can we get people to trust you, and ethically and rightfully? But if you know the niche, you know the advice and the tips, and you've lived it to show proof. This way, you're more likely to be able to connect, and by connecting, you understand your audience's struggles. But if you find something that's just profitable and you're relying purely on somebody to write the content for you, then you're missing that emotional connection. So, at the end of the day, if you think about it, people buy for emotion, they don't buy for logic. They justify their purchases with logic, but they buy for emotion. With that said, if you're one step ahead of everybody else, great. If you're not, then probably it is better if you pick another niche. The big misconception is that there's too much competition. Then you think, oh no, this is not a good niche to go into. This is actually far from the truth. Having a good amount of competition means that there is a buying market. Why? Because typically, what this means is that competition has paved the way for you. They have educated the market, and they've placed products out there. If the market doesn't really know what the products are all about, your competition actually has to educate the market before people will buy them. So basically, instead of having to educate the market yourself, you simply come in and provide lots and lots of value. You can find out what your competition is doing and what your competition is not doing, and the demand in itself. So let me go ahead and show you how to find competing blogs and spy on them. You see, at this stage, you have to do the necessary competitive intelligence test, so technically, you can go to Google and do a search for blogs in your niche. But a tool that I would like to use today is called BuzzSumo.com. And the reason why I like this platform is because this site literally analyzes the content that performs the best within the niche. So, this really is going to help shortcut things for you. So if you go here and type in, for example, lower cholesterol, let's see what we get as a result. Now, one thing to note is that BuzzSumo is a paid tool, but it will allow you to do some free searches as well. So, if you want to pay for it later, that's fine. You can do that when you get really serious about your blog. But for now, at the starting point, you don't really need to pay for it. So if I type this in, you can see these are some blogs or websites that are actually getting a lot of engagement. And what you're trying to figure out is what are they doing to get that kind of engagement. So, they have Facebook engagement linked in shares. They have Twitter shares, Pinterest shares, so obviously these sites definitely have social media. So what I want you to do is jot down what you see, what they are doing. That could be helpful. So, let's just take a quick look at these sites and see what they're all about. And by doing so here, this is a good way to figure out topics as well, which we'll talk about later on. But for now, let's take a look at the sites. So if we go to this first one here, then we can see they have different sections. We can take a look at how their site is laid out with topics. It looks like they have very general categories, not necessarily related to health, but they do have one section related to health. But this looks like it's just an article. You can see the length of the article, and it is actually quite long. Decent-sized articles should be more than 700 words. This one looks more like 1,000 words, but nowadays your articles and your blog posts can actually get to the length of a book per blog post. And of course, if you have videos, that's good too, as you can get people to actually stay at your blog longer. So, we can see that these sites don't really focus just on cholesterol, but they focus on the overall arching view of health. Now, what this allows you to do is you can create a profitable authority blog based upon a very specific niche. So if you focus only on, let's say, lowering cholesterol or how to pass a kidney stone without surgery, then that might actually allow you to convert more sales because the person that you are attracting is more likely to be in that right mindset. So, for example, if somebody comes to this blog, they might be interested in lowering their cholesterol for changing their lifestyle, but there might be a hidden agenda too, and maybe they are coming here because they're interested in relationships. But that's not really targeted blog, is it? So, for competition research, we'd like to suggest you to go to these sites. Write down at least 10 or more topics that you can improve in your blog. Then, you can compare different blogs to make sure that all of these blogs are doing the same thing. If they're all doing the same thing, and they're doing really well in that area, then this might be something that you can actually mimic. Hello, and welcome back. Today, you know for a fact that this is a niche that you want to go into. But what we need to do now is we need to make sure that we are going to be able to profit from this block. So what you need to do as far as product creation goes is figure out if you have an unlimited supply of products that you can sell to your market. Because the more products that you have, the higher your revenue stream is going to be. Now, there are different rules that you can take. You can either find an affiliate products, or, in other words, products that other people have created, and you can direct your traffic from your blog to those products, and if they buy, then you get an affiliate commission. So you get a cut, a percentage basically. So if that person has a product, let's say a video course, and they give you 50% for every sale, that way you make 50%. Now, the nice thing about this is you don't have to deal with customer support. The downside is you only get half of the commission. Plus, you wait for them to pay you. Now, if you create your own product, obviously you get 100% commission, and you collect money immediately. In this case, you are the vendor, so you get 100% of the product. Now, that's the nice thing about products, but product creation definitely does take time. If you're unable to find many affiliate products, or you don't want to offer somebody else's products, that just means that you're going to have to create your own products or find private label rights products. But I want you to understand that at the end of the day, the more products you create, the more you actually control yourself. So what I want to do now is just head on over to Google. I'm going to show you real quick how to find products that you can sell, if it's an affiliate product or if you want a private label rights shortcut. So this is going to be a quick and easy exercise. Simply go to google.com and then of course in the search box type in private label rights. So in this case, if that's lower cholesterol, let's see what we get. So you're going to see affiliate products or private label rights products. Remember, you don't create both of them. In the first one, you get a commission. With private label, you get 100% profit, but you have to buy the rights. So do a search for affiliate products R as well. And you can see that this is $349 in 30 days to lower cholesterol as an ebook. Then you want to make sure that you see what's inside of the book. Remember, some ebooks are created with tons and tons of high quality content, and some are created by ghostwriters and they're not really good quality. So you really have to pick and choose here. Now, aside from private label rights, you can find affiliate products or products that other vendors have created. This is a product that you can promote to get an affiliate commission. There are affiliate marketplaces like ClickBank, where you can type in a keyword and find a suitable product. So let's stick with cholesterol and see what we get out of this search. Now we can see there are 122 products, which is a good thing. That means that we have enough products that we could potentially sell. And as you can see here, the initial sell is 24, 45, and that means that you're going to get that amount of money. And some of these have recurring membership sites attached to it. So if you sell it once, you can get paid over and over again over the course of a few months. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to just glance really quick. You don't have to buy anything right now. Just kind of get an idea whether there are actually affiliate products out there that we can sell and promote and get a commission. Alright, so another thing you can do is you can go to Google and we can type in lower cholesterol or just cholesterol affiliate program and see what kind of results we get. Here, you can find affiliate products that are helping people lower cholesterol, and you would simply go here and you would take a look at it. You could contact the vendor to get more information, or even get private access or complimentary access to the actual product to test it out and make sure that it is good for your audience. So over time, if you build a list of, let's say, 500 people or 1,000 people over time, you have more leverage. The bigger your list is, then the more interactive your actual list is. By list, I mean email lists, but it can be also Facebook likes. It could be Twitter followers and YouTube followers. This simple search just gives you an idea about what is actually out there. And if you have enough products to sell on your niche, then go ahead and enroll to those affiliate programs. Hi there. Today we are going to talk about the topic generation. So it's time to go one step further and figure out a larger list of topics. Now, we obviously have a list that we created earlier, but we want to make sure that we verify them and see if these topics are truly in demand, and that is something people are searching for. So, how do you go about verifying this? Let me go ahead and show you. There are several tools that you can use which don't cost you any money to try to figure out topics in demand. These are obviously Google and SEMrush. Now, SEMrush does cost money, but at the same time, they do allow a free search, which gives you a limited amount of topics, and even that limited amount can help you. Here, I log into SEMrush and check out their keyword overview as you can see here. I typed in lower cholesterol. So, it's kind of following the topics that we've been talking about earlier, and as you can see here, you can choose even countries with this tool. But I would advise you for now just choose one country. And as you can see here, we scroll down, we can see phrase match keywords. So as far as lower cholesterol goes, we can see here how to lower cholesterol. We can see the CPC, or what advertisers are willing to spend. And so far, that's a good sign. This means if they're willing to spend money on a specific keyword, then there is demand for lowering cholesterol. Next, cholesterol lowering food. So there's a lot about foods. You can see that there are other keywords as well. There are ad copies and organic search results. Remember, you can also use BuzzSumo as well to generate topics. And in addition to this, if we head over back to Google, up at the top here, Google will suggest you keywords. Let's say, for example, I type in lower cholesterol. You'll notice that as I begin to type things out, Google will actually try to complete your sentence with lower cholesterol diet, lower cholesterol fast foods, exercise, and recipes. Now, just roll all the way down to the bottom. You will see a larger list of searches related to lower cholesterol. Now, what this allows you to do is it allows you to see the high demand searches. In other words, Google's not going to show keywords up at the top unless people are actually searching for them. This means thousands of people are searching for these suggested keywords. That's something to be aware of as it helps you to drill deeper. So, let's say for example that we want to do a search for lower cholesterol foods. And we do a search for that, and if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you will see everything related to lower cholesterol foods. So, we can see cholesterol and almonds breakfast food list recipes, how to reduce it naturally without medication. I believe someone searching for this keyword more likely to want to reduce their cholesterol with natural home remedies, and with supplements with dieting and everything naturally. So if that's the case, let's do a search again for lower cholesterol plan and see what we get. So, losing weight can be a factor, and we can see the Indian diet plan. We can see the Mayo Clinic diet plan. So there are many different diet plans. This way, we can see overall general idea, which is lower cholesterol, and within that, we can see that there are things like dieting. As you're beginning to type, ask yourself questions that other people would ask while searching, like what type, or why, or how, or when, or who kind of thing, so that way you can expand upon not just the general niche, but tab into the sub-niche. You can expand upon that so you can see this diet and recipes could become one whole vertical of just topics, tons and tons of different diet plans, tons of different recipes, different types of exercises. If we search in the topic of swimming, we have cardiovascular or aerobic type exercises. You can really dig deeper and deeper and deeper. So just I would say using Google itself allows you to really dig deeper, but utilizing other tools like SEMrush or BuzzSumo can help you more. Alright, so that's basically all you need to do right now. Just do a little brainstorming, do a little researching, and create a list of topics that Google has proven to you that it is in demand. Alright, so with that said, let's move on to the next lesson. Today, let's talk about blog creation. How do you go about creating the blog posts now that you have a list of different topics that you might want to create? Should you use videos, or should you use articles, or how long should they be? If you took a look at the BuzzSumo examples in the previous lesson, you noticed that those articles were pretty long. They were about 1,000 to about 1,500 words. This type of articles are pretty much standard nowadays. So now the recommended thing to do is to create an article, and you can outsource this if you want, but I would recommend you actually try to create the blog outline yourself. Because if you're passionate about the topic, it is going to be easier for you to write an article. Speed up the process by using something like your iPhone voice recognition feature. For example, iPhone has Siri, and Siri allows you to voice your thoughts on your notepad. In this way, you're able to create an article at a really fast rate. Now, obviously, grammatically, everything you said might not be completely correct in writing, so that article would need some proofreading. Next step now would be to take your iPhone and start speaking naturally to create the article, and then you can send it to a proofreader. Once you're done with that, what you can do next is you can head on over to places like Fiverr.com and you can hire people to actually read your article and get them to turn it into a video. As far as what the blog post should be about, well, I'm going to show you what we call the backward blog creation strategy, and I'm actually going to take an example. I'm going to show you how to write the article, or at least outline it to the point that you can do it all in less than 5 minutes. Alright, so let me go ahead and show you that right now. Okay, so the reason why we call this the backward blog post strategy is because what we're doing is we're moving backwards, if that makes sense. As you can see here, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find an already proven blog post, but at the same time stay away from plagiarizing. We're not copying anything, and just want to get that out of the way. But what we're trying to do is we're looking at what is proven and extracting from that and making it more specific, making it more unique, and making it better essentially. So first, we find that proven blog post. And then, what we do is we can break it up. So this one proven blog post could essentially become 10 or 15 or 20 even smaller blog posts that are actually more specific. So let me show you this in action in a super easy way. Again, we're not plagiarizing by any means. So I just want to make sure we understand that and that is clear. So let's move on and let's talk about lowering cholesterol again. So as you notice in the previous search in lower cholesterol food, it can be a lot of natural remedies. So let's kind of focus on that because that seems to be what people are searching for. So let's just type in lower cholesterol food and see what we get. So if we scroll down, we can see top 12 food in lowering cholesterol search. And you'll notice there are a lot of articles here, such as top 10 things that lower your cholesterol. So let's just click through here and we will click this one here. So as you can see here, it says 12 food types that lower cholesterol naturally. Now, if we take a look here, we can see that it lists different types of food. So different categories of food like oats, we have red wine, we have salmon and fish, we have nuts. We can go more specific. So the question is, how do you go more specific? Because obviously, the more specific it is, the more interesting it is. And this way, you can boost your authority simply because people feel like you've actually nailed it and focused in very, very specific details. So instead of saying like the top 12 different foods that lower cholesterol, what you can do here is pick, for example, fish. You can say the top 10 fish that actually lower your cholesterol, or top 5 fish that lower your cholesterol. You can even say top 5 types of nuts, because as you can see here, there are many different types of nuts. There are pistachios, for example, that can help to lower cholesterol, and there are many other types like almonds that can help as well. So try to go through here and just break it down. So there are actually other olive oils or types of oils that can lower cholesterol, so we can do oils. And let's just start with that. So obviously, oats and red wine could be an option. There might be different types of red wine. So maybe you could do the top 5 types of red wine, or top 10 types of fish, or top 5 types of nuts or oil that lower your cholesterol. Now, indirectly, what you're doing here is you're going very, very specific. You're actually helping Google figure out what your site is all about. So, there we go from this one article. We were able to create 4 different articles, and because it's all very consistent. You can easily find other articles out there that are based on these articles. So you can hire an article writer. There are many different places that you can go to in order to hire article writers. One example is Upwork.com. You can find very high quality article writers out there, and really all you need is a few just to start out. So at first work with 1 or 2 writers, and then of course as you expand, you can hire a few more. But what I like to do is I like to hire a couple first and see which ones I like the writing style and how well they work with you, and then you can outsource your work to them. But you can write yourself too, and you can actually do it very easily. It's more specific to your niche. Remember, the more specific it is, the easier it is to write. So for example, going back to nuts, we have the number 1 pinto beans, number 2 navy beans, number 3, 4, 5. So all we need is 3 more nuts, maybe beans, chickpeas, and butter beans. Now, all you have to do is simply hand this task to a writer. Say something like, hey, I want you to write an article on the top 5 types of nuts that lower your cholesterol, and I want you to cover this, this, and that. So basically, this is how it goes as far as writing a blog post to make sure that they cover all what you need. So essentially, what you're doing is you are trying to get somebody to buy your product, so they should visit your site, and you should get people interested in lowering their cholesterol with your blog posts. They learn specific details in your post and ready for the next steps. And that's how to create a high converting blog post at a very fast pace. Welcome back, and now it's time to talk about blogging platforms. Right now, that's where WordPress comes in. Ultimately, you need to have your own asset, especially if you're building a business surrounding this. This is a serious thing. So that's why I recommend WordPress, and with it, you need to buy your own domain. You need to buy your own web hosting, and usually, most web hosting companies have WordPress one-click installers, so you can simply log into the panel or even ask them to install it for you, and you're good to go. So, I'm going to explain a little bit more in depth about WordPress here. How do you find a domain? How do you go about finding web hosting? These are the questions that will start circling in your mind now, right? And of course, how do you create your blog? How do you find themes? We will cover all of that in just a second. But first, you need to have a domain name because you need to have your own brand essentially. So what you need to do is you need to head on over to a site called namecheap.com. And it is a domain registrar where you can buy your domains, so you can go there, and if the domain is available, you can actually get access to it. So, if we say something like lower cholesterol, and I'm pretty sure lowering cholesterol is taken by now, then we can do some more extensive search. As a result, we can see whether or not domain is available. Put some numbers in. Choose whatever domain that is great for you, and then, of course, attach to your cart and buy it. Then you're good to go. So you pretty much have completed the domain part. Now you have to get web hosting. So essentially the way it works is this. If we go back over here, you need 2 things. You need a domain name, which is kind of like an address, and then of course, you need to have web hosting. If you don't understand what hosting is, think about it as a house or apartment. You always have an address, right? And of course, the address points to a house. And then, the house actually has furniture in it, and you can change the outlook of it, which is the interior design. That's basically what hosting is all about. It is your house. So what you need to do now is you need to find a web hosting company that specializes in WordPress, because you're going to be using WordPress. Now, just keep in mind that WordPress is a very intensive type software, so as you grow your WordPress, can utilize a lot of RAM. It can use up a lot of server processing speed as it grows, so that's just something to keep in mind. So what I recommend you to do is you can either go to Google and you can type in WordPress hosting companies and go from there, or you can specifically use the ones that I'm about to talk to you about. You can see they offer cloud hosting as well as shared hosting. So if you click on cloud hosting, you can compare prices, find your plan, and purchase whatever you need. Typically, what you can do is you can start out with the very basic plan, and then of course, move up from there. There are a lot of web hosting companies out there. One more example is HostGator, which also provides WordPress hosting. It is also quite well known and cheap host. Known Host is something I recommend as it is a great web hosting company that we have tested and it has been tried and true. So once you've gotten your domain and next step is web hosting, the web hosting company will provide you with information on how to connect the two. You will get access to a cPanel once you purchase your package, and then you can log in. So what you do is you click on WordPress here, and this is basically an app installer. So instead of having to go to wordpress.org and installing the 5-minute installation file, which really isn't 5 minutes by the way, it's more like maybe 10 or 15 minutes or more, depending on your expertise, it's a lot easier to do it with hosting company because all you have to do is simply go down and click install now, and you fill in the details, and within less than 3 steps, you have installed your first WordPress site. Up at the top, if you scroll down, you're going to see them in directory option. What this means is basically if you want your WordPress blog to be installed on www.yourdomain.com, then you leave this blank. But if you want to install the WordPress blog in a subfolder, for example as a separate blog, then that's when you can actually enter a directory here. So in this case, we can just type in test blog, then you fill in your site name, your description, and then of course, your admin username and password. And then you can actually select a theme. So that's the nice thing about this particular app installer, is you can pick one theme, you can actually scroll through many different themes, and the nice thing about WordPress is you can literally change the whole design with a click of a button. You don't have to redo everything or anything like that. So if I want to go with this theme, I can click select and click install, and literally within less than a minute or a couple of minutes, we are good to go. That's it. And of course, if we go to the actual blog itself, and we can see the actual blog has been created. Now the app installer is going to give you access to the WordPress administrator dashboard, as you can see here. And all you have to do is literally, whenever you create a post, you can go here. You can add new posts, and you can add new pages. You can also change the appearance by going to Appearance and Themes. So let's say, for example, we don't like this particular theme. We always can go to Add New, and we can find another theme. We can click Install, for example, and activate. Then, if you go to the live site, you can literally see that the blog design has been changed now. We would recommend that if you are very serious about building a long-term authority blog, that you buy a theme which actually relates to your audience. You can go to a platform which is called themeforest.net, and if you go under WordPress, you can actually find different themes that relate to different markets. So for example, we have a blog and magazine themes, and just because it's a blog, it does not necessarily mean you have to use that theme. You can use a theme that is related to other different markets as well. So, as you can see, it ranges in pricing from $20 to about $54 per theme, but these themes are very, very professional and can definitely make you stand out. And if somebody visits your site and you want to make a good first impression, then this is it. That's one side of getting people to trust you, is to make sure that your site looks professional. But remember, best of all, WordPress is great because it's very newbie friendly. And once you understand how to use it, it's very, very fast and efficient to create a post, to great pages, to add images, and all that.